What if one of the most famous famine stories in history was written 2,000 years after it supposedly happened? On a remote island near Aswan in southern Egypt, an ancient inscription carved into stone tells a gripping story of a devastating 7-year famine. A desperate pharaoh, and a god who held the power of the Nile itself in his hands. This is the mystery of the Famine Stela. The Famine Stela is an ancient Egyptian inscription etched into a large granite rock on Sel Island, near the modern-day city of Aswan. It's a stunning piece of history. It's filled with hieroglyphs that recount a dramatic period in Egypt's past. The story is set during the reign of the great pharaoh Djoser, the builder of the famous step pyramid at Saqqara, who ruled way back around 2670 BC. But here's where the mystery begins. Archaeologists and historians have determined that the stela itself wasn't carved during Djoser's time. Instead, it was created much, much later, during the Ptolemaic period. Sometime between 332 and 31 BC, that means this incredible story was written down more than 2,000 years after the events it describes. This raises a fascinating question. If this story is so old, why was it only recorded to millennia after Djoser's lifetime? What purpose did it serve? According to the text on the stela, the kingdom of Egypt was in the grips of a catastrophic 7-year famine. For 7 long years, the Nile River, the absolute lifeblood of Egyptian civilization, failed to rise and flood the farmlands as it should. The annual inundation was what made the desert bloom, depositing rich, fertile silt that allowed crops to grow. Without it, agriculture was impossible. The inscription paints a bleak picture. Granaries were empty, food supplies vanished, and hunger and despair spread across the land. The people were suffering, and the entire kingdom was on the brink of collapse. Pharaoh Djoser, watching his people waste away, was desperate for a solution. In his time of need, he turned to his most trusted advisor, the legendary Imhotep. Imhotep wasn't just a vizier. He was a genius, the architect of the step pyramid, a high priest. He was one of the most brilliant minds in all of Egyptian history. Djoser asked Imhotep to investigate the cause of this terrible drought. Imhotep, being a wise man, consulted the sacred books and ancient texts in the temple archives. He returned to the pharaoh with a revelation. The source of the Nile, he explained, was located at Elephantine Island, right here near Aswan. And it was under the direct control of a powerful deity, the ram-headed god Kume. Kume was one of the most ancient and revered gods in the Egyptian pantheon. A creator god believed to have fashioned humanity on a potter's wheel from the clay of the Nile. More importantly, he was the guardian of the river's source, the one who opened the floodgates each year. Imhotep discovered that Kume was angry because his temple had been neglected and his worship forgotten. Distressed by this news, Djoser made offerings and prayed to the god. That night, the pharaoh had a powerful dream. In this vision, the god Kume appeared to him, radiant and majestic. Kume spoke to Djoser, promising to restore the Nile's life-giving waters and end the famine. But there was a condition. The pharaoh had to repair Kune's temple and ensure that his worship was properly restored for all time. Awakening from this profound dream, Pharaoh Djoser knew exactly what he had to do. He immediately issued a royal decree. He ordered the complete renovation and restoration of Khem's temple on Elephantine Island, which had fallen into disrepair. He didn't stop there. He also decreed that a portion of all the land's revenue, from taxes on harvests to tolls on river traffic in the region, would be dedicated to the temple and its priesthood forever. Offerings were reinstated. Complex rituals and ceremonies resumed. The god Khum was honored once more, just as he had demanded. And just as the god had promised in the dream, the Nile began to rise again. The floods returned, nourishing the parched fields with fertile silt. The crops grew tall and strong, the harvests were bountiful, and the 7-year famine finally came to an end. Egypt was saved. The inscription on the stela concludes by praising Djoser as a pious and wise ruler who brought prosperity back to his kingdom, by showing proper respect to the gods. But here's the final, compelling twist in the tale. Modern Egyptologists and archaeologists have scoured the historical and archaeological records from Djoser's time, the Old Kingdom. They have found absolutely no evidence of a massive 7-year famine during his reign. This was a time of great prosperity and architectural innovation. So if the famine never happened, why create this elaborate story on a giant rock 2,000 years later? Most scholars now believe the Famine Stela was not a historical record at all. Instead, it was a brilliant piece of political and religious propaganda. Remember, it was carved during the Ptolemaic period, when Egypt was ruled by a Greek dynasty. The local priests of Kame likely created the stela to assert their temple's ancient importance and secure its land rights and income, which were granted in the story by the legendary Djoser. By linking their cause to a celebrated pharaoh from Egypt's golden age, they gave their claims undeniable authority and legitimacy, also served the Ptolemaic rulers, helping them connect to Egypt's deep past and show their respect for the native traditions and gods, solidifying their own rule in the eyes of the Egyptian people. The Famine Stela is a powerful reminder that history isn't always just about what happened. It's also about who is telling the story, and more importantly, why they are telling it. It's a masterful blend of myth, religion, and politics. A tale of famine, gods, and dreams, etched in stone, not to record the past, but to shape the future. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this mystery as fascinating as I do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more journeys into the ancient world. I'll see you next time.